Hello everybody and welcome back to World of Warships Legends. My name is Spartan Elite 43 and tonight we are back in the Brest. Trying out the new commander from the Blue Archive, Kuromi Sarika or Sarika. I'm not sure which way you'd pronounce it, but I'm going to go with Sarika. Anyway, without further ado, let's look at the commander. We're running, obviously, Kuromi Sarika. We are also running Norman Scott and Francesco Membelli. We are going beyond range, punch through, focused fire, and fixated with fully packed. This is the new commander. It's mostly the same as you'd come to expect, but this particular skill was pretty juicy. Gives you an extra main battery reload charge, as well as gives you better shell dispersion while your main battery reload booster is active. So it ends up being pretty spicy. I also got fully packed for extra reload booster as well as heal. So overall, I'm really liking this. Also, her base trait is cruiser main battery reload time and main battery dispersion. So pretty spicy for the French super cruisers or whatever you want to call them. But yeah. Anyway, let's look at aiming systems mod 1, propulsion mod, concealment system mod, and we are running main battery mod 3. Now, obviously, one of the biggest downsides of these ships is the main battery traverse speed. So taking this as a debuff, it's not ideal, but it also comes in pretty handy to have a faster reload on these things because the guns are fantastic. The ship is a bit squishy, but the guns are fantastic. I don't think anybody can argue against that. But yeah, with this commander and everything, I think it brings out possibly the best that you can get out of this. Again, if you want to swap out your main battery reload booster for the gunfire control system to keep you from having to deal with the nerf to your rotation speed, I get it. But more often than not, you're not going to have too much trouble with your guns on target. It mainly comes down to those situations where you've got to rush in. So that can be a bit problematic, but anyway, we are fully upgraded as always. The main thing that we're buffing here is we're getting an extra reload booster, so that helps. So that's got us up to 4 reload boosters for this thing, plus 3 heals, plus 3 of our engine boosts. For the specs, nothing really changes except for maybe the reload time. So we're at a 21.6 second base reload time, which almost gets you down to getting 2 reloads in the time it takes to use your reload booster. So you can almost get off two reloads during your reload booster. Now, as the game progresses, you can actually end up getting an extra reload if you've got the main battery mod, the epic mod on. So as you do more damage, you get a little bit faster reload. You can get that below 20 seconds, and that allows you to have under a 10-second reload on the main battery reload. But that being said, that's pretty much all, but look at the 180-degree turn time because of that nerf to the turret traverse. Like, that is the one biggest problem with these ships, in my opinion. Isn't that they're squishy, because I can deal with that. They're good flankers, so I got no problems there. They got decent concealment. I mean, the thing can be, like, very sneaky. But the problem is the 180-degree turn time bites you every time, especially against, like, lighter, more agile ships. It can be a bit of a problem. But with all of that being said, we're not going to go over too much. We're just going to go ahead and look at the ship real quick so I can get a thumbnail, and then we will get into the gameplay. But you guys know that I love these French super cruisers. They're just a unique gameplay that a lot of other ships cannot do, which is nice in World of Warships Legends. You guys know that. I like the ships that are kind of unique, instead of everything being the same all the time. But yeah, with that being said, let's get to our gameplay. Alrighty, so we're going to be on Northern Waters, and I chose this match not because it is like a crazy over-the-top like damage game or anything like that. We're going to do our job. We're going to get some pretty decent results here. But the main thing is this game comes down to the wire, which nowadays seems like it almost never happens, right? Like, how many games do you jump in and they legitimately come down to like the very end of the match? You know what I mean? Like, either team could potentially win. Both teams have tried to throw the match at one point or another during the game. Like, they just don't happen very often. So I like to showcase them when they do, because A, it's entertaining. I can talk you through what both teams are doing wrong at that given moment. And B, it is just, it's fun to watch. Like, it just really is. Like, it's just... It's a good learning experience from both sides. Like, you can see what's going on. Like, these games are what I enjoy. Like, and I can't stand logging in, jumping in a ship, and jumping in, and the first game is 14-1. I know it's not possible, but you get what I'm saying. Like, it doesn't matter what you do. The game is just over from the get-go. Like, those games suck. I'm sorry. Wargaming, I don't know what you can do to fix the dummies that are out there that are causing these, like, complete raffle stomps. But it always starts out as one or two people making just the most idiotic play possible. And then that puts their team at a disadvantage, and then it just steamrolls downhill from there. When you throw your health away 30 seconds into the match because you make a stupid play, like... You're probably going to end up in a bad position. And your team is going to suffer because of it. Now, right off the bat, we go forward, we spot the Brisbane, he makes the ultimate gamer turn. I got a Stalingrad right next to me, punches him, I punch him. Like, this man just got hit by 2 super cruisers back to back and is lucky to still be alive. Now, as much as I would love to get another good shot out at this guy, unfortunately, my shots, or my concentration is drawn to the guy that's probably going to send me to the Shadow Realm if I'm not careful. The Vermont. Of course, out of everything that's over here, I got to deal with a god-darn Vermont. The one ship that will absolutely, unequivocally end my existence faster than I can get out the way. Like, it is infuriating to me every time this happens. Like, no matter what ship I log in, this is what happens. They end up having the perfect counter to me right there. And in the previous match to this, I was in the Siegfried. I'm trying to get a game in the Siegfried as well. And what do I get? I get a destroyer that gets dev struck 30 seconds into the match, and then I spend the rest of the game being spotted by their destroyer with three light cruisers DPM in my Siegfried. Nothing I could do. I couldn't even see them. They were sitting in a smokescreen. It was a Peterbag, a Plymouth, and a Suja. And I just had no way to do anything to them. They were just sitting in smoke screens the entire game. They had spotting, I didn't. But yeah, we're gonna try to use the island here as we punch the enemy San Luis. We're gonna try to use the island to protect us a little bit, hoping that we can dodge some sort of damage here. But of course, one shell hits us, fire. We're gonna go ahead and try to get him out of the game. He's trying to go ahead of us. I look back, of course, Vermont again takes a shot at us. I'm trying everything. There's nothing I can do here. Vermont is going to yeet me no matter what. And of course, he lands every god-darn shell, gets a Citadel with plunging fire through the deck. Like, you can't make it up, folks. I've said it before, I'll say it again. No ship in this game gets plunging fire Citadels quite like the Vermont. No. There is no question. It is the king of plunging fire Citadels. And I don't know why, I just know that it's fact. I don't care what ship you're in. I don't care if it's Yamato. I don't care if it's GK. I don't care if it's Montana, BA Montana. Any of the cruisers. And there are cruisers that do get plunging fire Citadels. American cruisers are good at that sort of thing against battleships. At least the heavy cruisers are. But personally, when it comes down to it, the one ship that seems incredibly consistent at getting plunging fire Citadels is the Vermont. And I don't know why. It just is. Even in Ohio, like, you don't have, they're the same guns, but Ohio doesn't do it either. But Vermont does. And I know a lot of people talk crap about Vermont for one reason or another, but if you play that ship enough, you'll know what I'm talking about with the plunging fire Citadels. You shoot at the superstructure, try to get some good hits, and all of a sudden you'll Citadel things, and you're like, really? How? But it's plunging fire. The shells are coming in at a steep angle, and they're getting penetration not just into the superstructure potentially, but down through the deck into the Citadel, and hence the name Plunging Fire Citadel. But we have taken a beating, right? Like, that Vermont, one hit darn near sent us back to port. And that is the downside of these ships. As much as I love these ships, I don't play them very often because of that reason. Like, they are incredibly squishy. You really need people that are able to take damage for you while you're flanking, and you get a position where you can use island cover to get in behind people. But we never had that opportunity because it's a small map, right? Like, we spawned in, we looked around the corner, we immediately got engaged. Like, there was no chance to get out on a flank, there was none of that. So now what we do is we move up into a position where we can get the cap, and I don't know how for the life of me I don't get the solo cap here. I'm sorry, you can't tell me after the freaking Stalingrad or one of these guys got reset, and this Stalingrad's use of a radar is incredibly sus. Like, this man, I don't know why he ends up radaring the times he does, but the radar almost never works out for our team. I don't know if he's radaring for somebody else, if he's radaring for himself. Either way, it's not working out. But you'd think with 2 battleships and a destroyer in the B cap that they would be able to deal with 2 destroyers that are currently lit up by radar, right? Problem is, that's not the case. But I digress. We are going to try to push up. I don't want to go around the corner here because I know what's about to happen, right? Like, we know the Vermont. If there wasn't a Vermont here, I'd be just straight up running into everything. I don't care about any other battleships. Like, yes, the battleships can hurt me, but the Vermont is deadly to this thing. Like, it just, you saw what happened. He hit me one time, took 2/3 of my health through the bow. Like, there's nothing I can do there, right? We can't take that kind of punishment. But I am begging for these guys that are next to me to be useful. I really am. And I'm not saying the Stalingrad hasn't been useful. He's been shooting things and doing damage, but the problem is I get 2 ships that will just get yeeted if they go broadside. And while Stalingrad seems to be at least somewhat intelligent in the fact that he's not going broadside, the Marlborough's completely ignoring that, right? Like, Marlborough's like, oh yeah, I ain't done nothing but sit behind you broadside the entire game. The only reason I'm still around is the fact that you've been getting shot instead of me. So, yeah, let me just roll out here broadside in front of a Vermont and a Kronstadt. Kronstadt is only like 8 kilometers away to my left side behind the island. There's nobody that can shoot the Kronstadt right now except this Marlborough. And Marlborough is just sailing broadside in front of both of these guys. And here comes the shot from the Vermont. I get a shot at the Vermont. Again, just trying to limit the amount of damage I take in return. And shocker, the Marlborough's dead. Turns out, if you just pull out, go full broadside in front of a Vermont and a Kronstadt, and you're in a Marlborough, you don't live long enough to regret life choices. Who'd have thunk it? But if you've been paying attention to the map, our team has the advantage here, right? We don't need to do anything crazy. This is why I'm not chasing. There's no reason for me to chase. Not only would it be an incredibly stupid decision for me to push around this corner and chase these guys with the Vermont out there that's capable of yeeting me, the Kronstadt right there that's got equivalent sort of firepower to me. Like, this is not a situation where we need to be aggressive, right? We have 2 caps, they have 1. Our destroyer is currently going into Bravo. Our battleship in the back is going to do the right thing. And this is where I start. I know you guys have seen me talking in chat, but I brought up the fact that, like, the guys that were next to me have all the armor, and neither of them were willing to take any sort of damage until, like, dude just threw himself away. Like, there's a way that you can put yourself into a position where you can take damage without getting yeeted, right? It's called don't go broadside. It's that simple. Now, I can't do that because everything overmatches me, right? Like, if I pull out there, no matter if bow in or not, those battleships will have their way with me. But again, here's another radar by the Stalingrad. And I don't even think he has a chance to shoot the destroyer. But you can clearly see that the destroyer is heading this direction. Now, because he's radared early, I'm thinking, okay, well, he's gonna back off. You can see him. He's turning towards the Alpha Cap. He's gonna go towards the island. But again, this is exactly what I'm talking about with the timing of the radars are very sus by this Stalingrad. Not saying he played poorly or anything like that, but Yama from the other side of the map does get an angle to take out the Kronstadt, which is huge, right? We've got a 200-point advantage. Our destroyer is currently in the Bravo cap, and I know I'm spotted right now by the enemy Lishun, but that's when the gearing pushes. Now, if I reverse here, it is almost certain that gearing is going to torp me to death. So I can't reverse here, right? Instead, I go forward, use the island to protect me from the gearing, and I pray to God that the Stalingrad can shoot the guy and kill him. Unfortunately, that is not what happens. Stalingrad, I'm sure, had HE loaded for the guy, but again, you got a long reload on super cruisers. He really needed me to help with that guy, but again, I moved up to avoid any potential torpedoes from the gearing because I knew he'd be trying to torpedo, right? You knew the destroyer was coming. You have to put yourself in a position where you can be defensible. And if you're just sailing in reverse, like bow in towards the destroyer, you're probably not going to get away with it. Because they're just too fast, they're too agile, you have a slow reload. Like, you're not putting yourself, or you're not doing any favors to yourself as you try to put yourself a little bit of distance. Like, you're never going to outdistance a destroyer in reverse. It's just not going to happen. So you can argue that the destroyer or the Stalingrad made a huge misplay there, just by like maintaining his position. The battleships were around the corner. He could have easily used the island to turn and get into a better position to potentially kite, which would have allowed him a lot more position to get out of the way. But with this Vermont here, there's nothing I can do. So we go ahead and take our HE, because we were going to shoot the destroyer with HE. We take an HE shot at the enemy. Yamato's telling me to get back. Like, I trust me, I am aware of what I need to do, fellas. And I know he actually was talking to me in the game at a couple different points, but it doesn't really matter. At this time, like, I know what I need to do to try to win. I need to give my team the best possible chance of winning, and one of the things that I need to do is try to get out here on this destroyer. Now, the gearing makes a huge misplay here. The gearing... And I feel bad for the Stalingrad, because he almost pulled it off. If you see how much damage this gearing still has left to give, and you can see we get actually pretty lucky here that the torpedoes split us perfectly. But look how much health he left him with. If that ain't in true Spartan fashion for that Stalingrad, you got to feel for the Stalingrad, because he almost got him. He almost got him. Makes you wonder if he'd have saved his radar for the point where he could have actually shot the destroyer. Maybe he would have had a better chance to get him off the board. I don't know. But either way, we're able to get rid of him. And now, if you're looking at the minimap, you'll see that the enemy has the B cap. We have a 300-point advantage, right? The only way we lose this is if we end up throwing the match, right? So we use our last heal, and I actually screwed up. I don't know if you guys noticed that, but I was trying to trigger my heal and I accidentally triggered a freaking reload booster, which could absolutely screw me over in a moment. But look at the enemy. They've captured the Bravo cap, they've captured they're trying to capture the Charlie cap, and they're currently denying us points in Alpha and trying to capture the Alpha cap. So at this point, I have to make the decision that I need to try to stop these guys from capturing A. I don't have to make sure that they are like, I don't have to go crazy or anything. I just have to stop them from grabbing A, because that gives them even more points. There's only 3 minutes left. This is coming down to the wire. But if you look at what my team is doing, my destroyer has put himself in a perfect position to be countered by their destroyer. You know where their destroyer's at, right? Their destroyer's in Charlie, just captured Charlie. You know he's going to be coming out there towards you. Guarantee that Lushun's probably... I mean, it's a warfare at sea guy. They know what they're doing, right? So guarantee that guy's probably got Perceptive or Twist and Track on. So he knows where you're at. He's coming for you. And you're putting yourself in an unnecessary position late in the game that could cost your team a win. And you can see the Vermont is moving up into Bravo cap as well. I can't take a Vermont. But what I can do is put myself in a position to entice this Iwami to come to me. I've got a reload booster that hopefully will come up. Fortunately, this Iwami ends up waiting just long enough for my reload booster to come back, which is perfect, because I screwed the pooch by accidentally using my reload booster for the... or when I was trying to heal. So that's unfortunate. But by us putting ourselves here, we have pretty much guaranteed that if he does come around the corner, which I'm pretty confident he will, he knows that I'm contesting, he knows that I'm in the cap, he knows that he has the advantage, in theory, that he's in a battleship, he knows that I was relatively low health, he should be able to easily overmatch and kill me, he's got torpedoes, I don't, like there's a lot of stuff. But the one thing that you're underestimating is the A, reload booster, and B, ability of a supercruiser to send a battleship to the Shadow Realm by doing the one thing that I tell everybody not to do. Do not chase me around an island. Don't chase anybody around an island. It always ends poorly for you. So this guy comes around the corner. He's over-angled, straight through the turret cheek. Blonk. There goes half his hit points. Instantly, we go for the damage, or the reload booster. He shoots us, overmatches us, does damage, but guess what? I have a reload booster, you don't. And good night, sunshine. How that's not a, like, I guess it's not a full, like, 4 seconds. I guess it was longer than 4 seconds, but come on. Like, but again, he had no choice. He had to try to do something there. But yeah, if you're in a situation like that, you have got to make sure that you're not coming around that corner broadside. You have to pie the corner. You have to come around at a much better angle than that, because if you're chasing a supercruiser or any sort of battleship around the corner like that, you are going to be sent back to the Shadow Realm very quickly. Now, our destroyer has been getting harassed by this Lashun for this entire time. Our battleship did do the right thing at just getting out of there. Again, it's not always glorious when you have to kite away, but it will win you matches. Like, if you recognize that you have the advantage and all you got to do is survive, just get out of there. There's no reason for you to go down, like, for nothing. You know what I'm saying? But that was a prime example of doing what you have to win. It's not always glorious. We end up with 2,700 base XP. The Yamato, honorable mention. Stalingrad, again, he didn't play badly. He just had the one mistake late in the game that cost him. And you saw that that could have gone either way. He could have easily have killed that Gearing, but probably got unlucky with one shell probably missing, and that's the one that he needed. But he played a good game, had some great shots in there, especially on the Brisbane early, on the San Luis as well. But unfortunately, it just is what it is, and we won't talk about the Marlborough. We're gonna play this like in Kanto, be like, we don't talk about the Marlborough, okay? If you don't get that reference, you don't have kids. And I don't have kids, but I have nieces, and they love that movie. But anyway, I want to know what you guys think. Do you guys think the new commander's worth it? Personally, as somebody who enjoys this line, the Super Cruiser line, I do enjoy the fact that they've given us a commander that makes the line a little bit better. I still think that they need to do something about buffing the turret traverse on these ships a little bit, because they are incredibly squishy. And I think that, honestly, you could get away with a little bit of a buff there, but that's the only buff that I would give them. Let me know what you think down in the comments below, and if you like what I'm doing, punch the like button, leave a comment below, subscribe to the channel if you haven't already, and as always, I will see you in the next video.